In this tutorial, we are going to add Bootstrap 4 to this small project that we implemented in a previous tutorial and see. So we are going to go from this to something like that and having the forms using the Bootstrap classes and templates and validation and everything. So the first thing you want to do is to include the Bootstrap to your project. Let's go here to the documentation. You can either download the source code or inside documentation, introduction, you can grab the starter template with hosted CSS and JavaScript, and also the base template that we are going to use and switch our current base template. So this is just a raw HTML and we are going to switch it now. And let's get rid of these comments, things that we don't need here. And then the title. Here you can add as a default, if you don't override this block, it's going to be used as a default value. I actually forgot to do that on the previous tutorial. Anyway, and then the meat of the page, remove that. So here we already have some improvements. Just going to add a container so the content isn't glued to the margins of the page. Okay, now what we want to do is to add a navbar here on the top to add our menu. We can grab an initial code from the documentation, side components, navbar. Yeah, this should be a good starting point. It's important here to add the navbar outside of your container so it can fill the 100% of the page here. So you have like the background matching here, the extremes. Because if you add the navbar inside the container like that, it's going to not look so good. It's a very common mistake that you see in some basic Bootstrap websites. So you want to put the navbar outside the container. But now if you want to align this content here with your the body of the page, you may add a container but inside the nav. So you add a div class container and then you wrap everything inside. So now you have everything here nicely aligned. So we can start by adding some margin here. This newest version of Bootstrap have these very cool margins. So this is margin, bottom, and 4. They have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can experiment and see the difference between them. For example, 1 is just a little, and 4, it's a good one. And something that you want to do is to be consistent with the spacing. And it's just a minor detail that will make your application look really better, because if we now add some components here, if we put always a margin for in everything, it's going to be more consistent and more visually better. It's going to look better, I mean. So now let's replace the menu with what we have. And remember that we have this logic here, that the login and logout. So if the user is not authenticated, we are going to show here login and sign up as a button, and then just the home page. And if the user is authenticated to our application, we are going to show here the username and a drop-down menu with change password and logout, and then maybe those secret pages here as a normal link. So let's start by adding the buttons here on that side. So we can make use of this form here as some wrapper. Just change the order. Give more focus to the sign up button. And use like a secondary for the login. Okay, maybe less color here to the login. So we can use the outline version. Yep. And then add some margin here, so it's not so glued. So we can use here on the sign up margin left, maybe 2. Yep. Or maybe 3, so no, I think 2 was okay. Okay. So now that the user is logged in, we want to hide this and just show the name of the user. So we can start by just copy here. Okay, so now we include a drop down. Maybe we can reuse this one. Okay, actually I added everything here, so we can delete those 2 that we don't need. This one too. So it's just one list with one item, and then the drop down is inside. Actually, it's not really well aligned here because of this class. Margin right on the automatic we can remove, so it's going to just throw it to the right side. And then just another small detail here is on the drop down, because this item is aligned to the right. So if the page is like it's really, maybe not, yeah, like that. So it's not good because it's cutting here some of the content. We can fix that by adding, let me see here, drop down menu right. So we fix here the alignment of the drop down. Okay, now instead of drop down we show user.username. And here's just a matter of switching the links. Change password. And here maybe the logout. Okay. Okay, this part is working good. Everything fine. Now it's just a matter of adding the other links here. We can already get rid of this and just grab these if else here, and then this we can remove. Okay, and then for that side we don't need the drop down, so we can just remove. Now the home page is going to be shown no matter if the user is authenticated or not. And here actually we don't have an else, just the other two pages. Secret. Secret page 2. Okay. Oops, and I forgot here. Change my site. Right, that's the easy part, because basically we're just using default Bootstrap components. So it's a matter of trying and experimenting and learning those the spacing classes, those utilities and the colors. I mean, everything is available here. But then what usually gets a little bit tricky is how to use Bootstrap with the forms, because here we can see it's not looking very good. And then when we see how we are rendering those forms, we are just using here the Django APIs to render. So we just put form as P, and then it's very convenient and it's very good because Django take care of creating the HTML components and to adding the validations and adding the classes and everything that you need. But then the inputs and labels are hidden inside here, this call, so we don't really have much access to it. But we can pretty much solve this problem by using a really nice library. I have a blog post about it. Yep. Which is this library here, Kruspies Forms. So I'm gonna put the link to this post here in the description section of the video. But you see how easy is it to use it. So first just install the library. Now we need to add it to our installed apps. Settings, and then we add here the template, just telling that we are using Bootstrap 4, and a very basic usage here is just using the loading the template tags and then using it like that. So let's see how it looks on our small project here. Let's edit the login page. And then instead of SP, Crispy. Okay, much better, but still we can improve it, and we are going to do that next. But then the good thing here is that we are already using the Bootstrap classes on the form. Let's just remove the browser validation so we can see the message. So you see, the Kruspies Forms adds the error classes and put it as red and put it nicely here. So now it's a matter of adding some style to the button so it can look a little bit better. So class. So here, and now maybe we can just reduce the size of this form because it's too wide. So we can put something like a row. Then column of 6. So because the grid system, I don't know if it still works the same, but usually the thinking is that you have 12 parts on the screen, so you can always use like one column of 2 and then one column of 10. It's 100%. So one column of 6 is like half of the page. So yeah, so we can also align it to the center. Now with Bootstrap 4 we have this nice justify content center. I think it's used those flex box that I don't really understand much about, but works pretty nice. Now another nice touch that we can add is like just a small line here. Can add it as a card. So add here card body. Yeah, much better. So now, if you want to get rid of this asterisk, actually it's just there is a class name here, and the easiest way is just to grab this class name, and we can hide it using CSS. And put a display none. Yeah. So that's the easiest way. I actually don't know if there is another way to do that, looking at the APIs, but I usually just hide the asterisk, no big deal. And one more thing is on this error message, it's using the Bootstrap alerts, but then it tries to add it as a list of items here, but then the spacing is not so good. So the same thing, we can just grab the name and the classes, and for example here we can get inside the form one alert, and we remove the style here. So form alert list style none, and the form no padding and no margin. Yeah, so we have here a nice alignment. So yeah, the basics are pretty much it. Hope you like it.